It's the Heckleproof Comedy Podcast with Zach Bolton and Carl Lee and Matty J. On this episode, the guys chat with Amanda Morgan.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Heckleproof Podcast. This is our 5th episode, and we're so glad to be back and so glad to be entertaining you. So first of all, let's show our sponsors some love. I want to say thank you to Hawaiian Hut and the Chadwick's Pub and to
Medford, Rod, and Custom.
Yeah.
That was great. I like how you said that.
You like it? I was trying to do the cadence thing like we talked about with the
That
whole,
was not over the
50 Cent
top.
thing.
That was perfect.
Oh, thank you.
No, don't play that shit. He was trying to remember that shit just like me. Don't fuck with. Don't give us compliment.
Bro, come on,
Cut that shit. Cut it. Let's start over.
Let's
This shit.
Normalize grown men complimenting each other.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Ooh, I love that. Normalize
Cheers.
grown man.
Normalize
complimenting each
man love. And speaking of man love, it's also brought to you by Rogue Comedy Underground.
Oh, see,
Rogue
y'all.
Comedy Underground. And you're probably wondering who this lovely lady is next to us right here.
Hi.
This is my good friend Amanda Morgan.
Aw, thanks,
Hi,
guys.
Amanda. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm stoked, actually.
So let us know a little bit about what you do. I know what you do, but not everybody else knows what you do.
Well, there's an array of things that I do. But one of the things that I do here in Medford, Oregon, is I have a breathwork studio. So we do breathwork, meditation, sound healing, chakra cleansing, and it's just energy work. So that's what I do. And then I also facilitate sacred space. So retreats that are sitting with plant medicine. So things like ayahuasca, combo, DMT.
Yeah, ayahuasca. Yeah, ayahuasca.
Joe Rogan talks
Yeah.
all about DMT. He preaches by that stuff.
Yeah, mushrooms. So we work with sacred medicines. And so I facilitate space like that. I work with different medicine carriers. So they come in and they facilitate the ceremonies, and then we take care of everything else. So everyone can have like a really nice, beautiful experience.
So cool.
And so that's kind of how, the breathwork room started. It just happened. And I think it was, meant to be. It was definitely spirit that brought that space to me.
Nice.
And,
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm about, and I'm happy to share.
What
that
is
with
this?
you guys today.
What is this machine you have me handcuffed to?
So that's one of the many, many tools. So we have like an arsenal of things here, right? So we have the Healy, we have our sound bowl here, and the Healy is what Zach has on, and it's an energy device. And so basically, it'll take your it's a bioenergetic like feedback machine, and it will take a scan of your energy. And so it'll tell you where you're out of balance. So it'll say like, hey, your chakras are out of alignment in this way, or maybe you're tired, you need some energy, you drank a little bit too much alcohol last night, whatever it is, it's gonna show you exactly what your body needs. So the way that it does that is it's actually, so each cell of your body, it has a frequency, right? So it has like a certain number to it, say it's 70 or whatever. And so it's going to measure, is it at its full capacity of the energy that it's putting out, the frequency that's putting it out, or is it low? So that's how it's like giving you that biofeedback from that. And yeah, it's a cool tool to use. I use it in the breathwork room, and we will just like vibe out with people and give us a good like starting point, for them to know like what's going on within their body, what's going on energetically.
And that's good to bring it. So it's a way of customizing how you're helping somebody.
Yeah.
So if somebody's interested in what you do, it's not just a one size fits all. Oh, today you're going to have
the Barnum
good
effect.
friend energy. And, it's not. One of it's more. Think about it as like you go in, someone pops open the hood and goes, you need some work here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of frequency machines out there. Like one that's really common is called the Rife machine. And basically what that one does and how Healy is different is the Rife will just say, here's like a range of frequency. So just like you're saying, like here's like from, 100 and something to 300, and then you're going to get on it and that's what it is, right? But Healy's different because it'll pinpoint the exact frequency that you need for your body.
It's a little more like in depth.
Yeah, so that's what that is. So we are running the third eye chakra on Zach. His third eye was a little bit closed, so we're gonna open that up for him, so he gets to really see past this physical realm, right? Yeah.
And right after we open it, I'm gonna poke you in it.
Ow. Ow, not my third eye.
It's gonna be a Stooges kind of thing.
Freaking
We need to bring
ow.
back physical comedy.
Freaking ow.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
Me and Carl have this instant ability to age ourselves.
We do.
Yeah.
That's why we got to
Sometimes you guys look 40, other times you guys look 70.
Exactly.
I think the closer I sit to you, the older I look.
True. That could be. It's just the subtle grays, but those are in. So.
But then I open my mouth and people are like, he's definitely not that old. He's got some room to grow.
got some room.
Yeah, he's like a plant. He's still budding.
Oh, man.
So Amanda, how did it come to you connect with the spirit that guides you into something like this? Because this is rare. This is rare.
Like
I mean,
Mr. Clean with
spirituality
hair.
is. I think the word spirituality is thrown around too loosely, and people don't really understand what is the spiritual piece. But so tell me how your journey came about, that you became involved in it.
Wow, thank you. So from a really young age, actually, I grew up in the mountains. I grew up in nature, and so I feel like that first was it for me. It was just really connected to Pachamama, and so from there, I went through church and that whole thing, and I was kind of guided in a different way to really find, I never was cool with religion. Like, it wasn't something that really stuck for me, but I used that avenue to be able to explore on my own. And so I was blessed enough to, I went to a school in Hawaii where it was a spiritually based school.
Yes, I can see that.
Wow.
And
Dang.
so from there, I really kind of cultivated that relationship with spirit. I went to Rwanda and I did some work out there, and then, ebbs and flows through life. I, went through those darker kind of stages of life, if you will.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't actually until I had something really crazy happen to me, and just really emotional, my personal story, and what was a true awakening for me. I was in a relationship that was really not for me, right? And he was really, let's just say, narcissistic. I don't know, I'll just throw that word out there. But we got pregnant, and there was just a lot of turmoil between our relationship, and so of course that weighed on me. That weighed on me spiritually, emotionally, and I was really disconnected at that time too, in a lot of ways. And so during that pregnancy, you go to your 6-month checkup type of thing, and so all the results that were coming back were showing that things weren't quite right, and so we chose to have a DNC, because basically they said that there was a lot going on with his chromosomes and just different things, right? So that was my spiritual awakening, to kind of come back to spirit, come back to myself, and be like, whoa, holy shit, I've been with this person who, one, doesn't give a fuck about me, or doesn't care what I'm doing or how I feel or whatever, and peace to him, and I wish him the best, and we went through a lot together, and I have a lot of love for him, and it's because of us creating that life together that I'm on this path now. So I honor that and respect him and all the things, but so losing that pregnancy was really what did it for me, and I was really in this really low place, and then excuse me, I found it was kind of an emotional development type course. And so I went through what's called Ascension Academy, Leadership Academy, down in San Diego. And that was, just kind of an awakening to the ego, the ways of acting, your patterns, your traumas, how that facilitates, all the things, how you act and be in the world. Right. And so from there, that just led to a connection where I met someone who was like, hey, you want to go and travel across the world and do ayahuasca? And I was like, fuck yeah.
I
could use some
ayahuasca.
Yeah.
Because ayahuasca is, a lot of people don't know about that, but it's becoming very popular.
Yeah.
If you want to go into a deep spiritual transformation.
Yeah.
And I don't know if some people is not ready
I might have to indulge
ready
in some
for
of this
that.
stuff with you. I've been more spiritual lately.
You're on it right there when you said. I mean, it's definitely, you know, we can get, there's a lot of layers to all of this stuff, you know, and now that people are kind of waking up and they are like, you know, wanting to journey with these medicines, you know, there's a lot of sorcery out there. There's a lot of darkness. There's a lot of distortion, and don't get it twisted that isn't in, you know, within that community and within the spirit of ayahuasca. You know, there's sorcery that's been put on medicine and things, you know, I mean, look at cannabis. Like, how long did it take us to see how good that really is for, you know, it's like they want to squash all that shit. So, you know, ayahuasca and all these really mind opening medicines are no different. So yeah, be careful, you know, be careful with who you sit with. You know, it's not smart to just travel to fucking Peru and go and find someone on the street. You know,
that was a point I wanted to bring up too.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in an era where the Grateful Dead were still touring.
Yeah.
And so that meant that at my school, of all the different drugs that were available, there was plentiful amounts of different hallucinogenics, but primarily acid, which at the time was the closest thing to like an ayahuasca type experience. And completely unguided, my generation just jumped into that. And partially because, you know, my generation always wanted to be the 70s kids.
Yes.
We didn't get to be teens in the 70s, you know, we were just babies. But with hallucinogens, the thing that I learned right away after a couple of times of using acid was you really should have a guide. You really should have a
Good
teacher.
point, Matty.
Someone can sit you down and they can walk you through every state of what you're about to experience.
100%.
But when you're experiencing it, if they're there, there's a certain amount of comfort, because the thing about growth is it's not comfortable. And these experiences, while they are amazing, they are not comfortable. There is no growth
there's
without a little breaking of the roots.
Oh, it's 100% all about that.
Now, that's not to say that it's not an amazing, beautiful experience. And there's moments that feel better than anything maybe you've felt before. However, it's also not something to be used in the same way you would use cannabis. It's not necessarily just a party thing or just to open your mind a little. If you crack that egg, you may be confronted with a lot that you need to work on.
Yes, man, exactly. It's not a quick fix.
Nothing.
It could be a quick hit that can actually fuck you up.
Yeah.
Well, I often say that hallucinogens or these type of mind expanding hallucinogens, not just pure hallucinogens, but mind expanding hallucinogens, were nature's way of forcing you through therapy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it was through the eating of mushrooms and a lot of these substances, just when early humans were experimenting, that opened their mind to the concepts of spirituality and connecting and being more one with everything around them. And matter of fact, a lot of people talk about the fact that with hallucinogens came conservation. That was the first mind opening of mankind to realize that these foods that are growing out of this land and these rivers that are running through this land are not always there. They're not always a guarantee. But if you conserve them, if you give back to them, they'll provide for your whole life. And a lot of the things that progressed us forward can be partially attributed to mind-opening, mind-altering experiences.
It's amazing how a lot of our recreational drugs at one point was known for medicine. Was known to heal and to help. And not too long ago, over the years, they've been looking into hallucinogens, has something for people with trauma. I think the FDA just had to approve it. So, and speaking on what you were saying, man, if you do this therapeutic thing through therapy, and you can't be left alone, you have somebody have to see you through the process. I don't know if you're familiar with. I can't remember the name of it. But they used that to help people with trauma, alcoholism.
I mean, there's a lot. There's ibogaine is really powerful for that. Ibogaine is something that they use where it's a facilitated. I mean, all of these, if you're doing it in a respectful way, should be facilitated by someone, a shaman, someone that's holding space for you.
A shaman.
But ibogaine is really known for addiction. Like, you will have this complete rewiring of your neural pathways in your brain to where you'll come out of that experience and you won't even want to touch alcohol or drugs ever again. And it doesn't give you, it takes takes away like the whole detoxing, like, you know, that whole, I mean, that's why people don't want to get off of their substance, because they're going to have to detox and go through that withdrawal, and it completely just like takes that away.
That's a strong point. There's a guy in the 70s, he wrote a book about quitting smoking, and I'm being real hypocritical by talking about this because I'm still a smoker. But I highly recommend this book. Yeah. And it's called The Easy Way to Quit Smoking by Alan Carr. And what he talks about applies to any type of addiction. And the reason why most people are afraid to fight an addiction is that 2 to 4 month period of imagined suffering.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to happen. And what Alan Carr talks about is the fact that most things that we are actually addicted to are purely psychological. And we just tell ourselves that we're going to have these experiences where we're going to be angry and irritable, but there is no physiological scientific proof that shows that you will. But if you believe you will, you will. It's just like anything.
Manifesting.
And with psychedelics, it's, to me, the interesting thing about that guided experience is that it will take you to a place that's very childlike. And like any true child, you should not be fully left alone. You should be somewhat supervised.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that you just said that, because that was a huge realization I had in ceremony just a couple of weeks ago, actually. And we can speak on this a little bit in a while, but because it can get kind of deep. But, you know, going back to like just the journey that brought me to Medford, you know, because all of this is magical and wonderful, and it's hard for people to digest this. You know, it's like I was coming from a place where I was like, holy shit, I just had this fucking amazing fucking opportunity and experience, and like, hey, let's go, everybody. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, hello, we have all these things. Like, let's wake up. Like,
what they say in Half Baked. Why isn't everybody talking about item 9?
Exactly. You know, and it's like, so I had to really, you know, kind of pull back and look at how I was, you know, just talking about things and say, okay, how can this be digestible for everyone? Yeah. What are the key things that are going on when you're journeying with these medicines? And this isn't something like, you know, if you're not avidly working on yourself and really like picking yourself apart to see and looking at, and willing to look at the traumas and the things that are underlying, like, medicine work might not just be for you.
You're
like,
not going to have a good time.
I mean, you really have to, just be, because what plant medicine does is it basically allows you to look at your mind in such a way that there's no escaping, you know? So if we have a trauma or a trauma response to something, like we just get angry and that's it. So I'm going to pick up my cigarette and I'm going to smoke because that's going to make me feel good. Well, in ayahuasca, like, she's not going to let you get out of that space until you look at your shit.
That's dope.
Right.
And she is not gonna fucking let you, like, she's the mother. So ayahuasca is the grandmother spirit, and so she's very loving, but like a mother, she's like gonna slap you on your ass, you know, and that's exactly what happens. I mean, for some and not, you know, and everything in between, but it just depends on, you know, what it is. And I believe that there's not really a bad trip, you know, like it's exactly what is meant for you. And
that's another good thing I was going to key into, because people don't realize breath work. I think people think about it like, oh, it's yoga. It's this thing that you go to do. And with regard to the harder parts of a psychedelic experience, and there are parts where it will take you to the edge of what you can handle.
Oh, it's like a full ego death.
And when you get to
that's
that
a good point like that.
I remember, especially with acid, and acid is the one I would never recommend out of everything. It just happens to be...
It's synthetic, you know, you want to stay with things
synthetic
that are...
I don't recommend it. However, it's a good analogy because it really takes you far. And I remember times where I'm at the edge of what I think I'm capable of handling, and I'm having thoughts like, am I ever going to come out of this? Is this just how life is going to be? Did I do this to myself forever?
This is forever.
And believe it or not, what got me out of that, or what can get you out of a bad trip, even if someone's not there for you, because this is important. If someone ever does this and has a bad experience and doesn't have someone there for you, you can use breath work to bring you back. The greatest thing I could ever tell you, in through the nose, out through the mouth.
True.
I've even done that if you smoking too much weed.
Yeah, if you get...
Like, that's not even, you know...
On any intoxicant, if you're at that point where, oh man, I've had too much, and you're on that line, you're trying to not get sick, breath work.
One of the first times I ever smoked weed at my sister's house, we smoked out of a bong, and this is one of the reasons why I don't ever smoke out of a bong, because that shit gets me so high, like so high. Like I could smoke joints all day long. But if I hit a bong,
we'll see.
If I hit a bong, we'll see.
Tune into the next episode.
Tune in the next
This
episode.
one's
Hell
like
yeah,
some
hold
DMT,
up.
just
But
wait.
if I hit a bong though, it just, I don't know, the THC hits me different, or I suck in too much and it just hits me. But so I got so high, that paranoid high, to where you feel like you're tripping, like you're just losing shit.
You're tripping.
Yeah. So I was tripping and I was like, what the fuck is in this weed? Like, what is happening to me? And I didn't know what was happening. And then other shit was happening around me. My niece was like one at the time, and she started choking on something. And so I'm like, oh, she's going to die. And I'm like trying to breathe. I can't breathe. And then some weird guy outside was talking to the kids, and they were like, kids, get in the house. And I was like, no, they're going to get kidnapped. And I'm just tripping balls.
Everything that could go wrong.
Yeah, everything go wrong
Just
was going
intensify,
wrong.
yep.
And so my sister's friend was there, who's like a sister to me. I grew up with her too, and she was working me through with all this breath work. The little tiny red ball, you breathe it in through your nose and you blow it up the whatever mountain or hill or whatever. But that shit helped. It helped. That's all I was focused on. It took my attention away from everybody.
It's grounding.
That's what
super
it was.
grounding.
That's
Yeah.
well.
That's what it was.
That's all. Any of that energy.
Yeah.
Work, not all of energy work, but what a lot of energy work is really helping you ground
Yeah.
when you're at that place where you feel
100%.
ungrounded.
100%.
Yeah, and then I 4 hours later woke up. I was fine, and I ate up the whole house. So
Yeah.
I just ate
Went
everything. Just ate
Went
everything.
from catastrophic to delicious.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Now, here's the other thing too on psychedelics, which is interesting. If you've had experiences and you have gone there, and you've had, generally, if you've had experiences, you've had both positive and negative ones.
Right.
But if you've seen it, there's also a lot of beauty in sitting with somebody who is on it and helping them.
Yeah.
And what happened with me at an early age, I started on this crap. Unfortunately, because it was like $3 a spot at the time. It was the cheapest thing you could do. And so without knowing it, I was like starting at the top of the drug pyramid with my first experiences. But people came to realize that I was still pretty coherent. And so I became the guy like, oh, someone's freaking out, go get mad, go talk to him,
You're the sitter.
You were the peacekeeper.
Right. But as much as that was like, oh God, I don't want this to be happening, because I'm also on this substance. And I'm also, at that time we thought, oh, this is a party. And there's a lot of beauty in that, because
Became rewarding.
Yeah, it's absolutely rewarding. And that's what people don't realize about any kind of therapeutic thing, is like helping somebody else find their path or discover a new coping mechanism.
Yeah.
And because let me tell you, there's other times in my life where I've been really sick, let's say, or for some other reason pushed to the very brink. And I've been able to use those experiences I had to look back and go, if you went through that,
That's it. You can go through
and
anything.
you held your mind together,
You can go through this.
Right.
And the only reason I'm speaking a lot on this is I think it's very, very important. Anybody that's listening or watching, don't use these substances without guidance, without talking to people who you trust who have done it before.
And it's not even about people who you trust and who are gonna like sit and watch you. It's actually so much deeper than that, because I actually got into the medicine in a really non-traditional way. And then as I, sat with different people, sat with different medicine carriers, I really saw the difference between a container that was held one way and a container that was held another, because we're not always, we are naturally equipped to see all of the things, but we aren't at that level yet, right? So for me, I was witnessing these people hold these kind of spaces that are like, hey, a lot of people throw around the title shaman. A lot of people
they
use
sure
that.
do.
They
do.
And it's not something to be thrown around lightly. And it's really,
I always called myself a babysitter because I was not a shaman, but I could help you when that childlike state, when you got to that childlike state and you were scared of what was happening. I could help you.
Yeah.
So Amanda, tell us more about what that word means.
Yeah. What is a shaman?
Yeah, because
To me, I feel like it's someone who, and what's really interesting is the actual, your third eye is now
Cleansed.
fully open and cleansed.
We've been talking about a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
See, we opened
About
your eyes. I'm about to poke it.
Yeah, so, the people that you would call, that I would even say as a shaman, none of them use that term. They would be like, I'm not a shaman. I'm a medicine carrier. I'm someone who holds space for healing.
Yep.
And I'm an energy worker.
Just like a
and
prophet never says they're a prophet.
I'm a prayer, I pray for you. And so I would be weary of that. You know, it's like if someone's walking around saying like, hey, I'm shaman, whoever, like, okay, are you? Like, all right, you know, but at the same time, like to each their own, I'm sure, you know, whatever. But, you know, for me, it's someone that really holds, you know, just dignity in what they do. It's someone who really respects the medicine. It's someone who really gives back and is in reciprocity to the land.
Another good indicator.
Reciprocity.
When you're really dealing with somebody who is a true medicine woman, medicine man,
they've
shaman,
done their
if
work.
you will.
They're, you know, they've done their work.
They'll be humble.
One thing
too,
you'll
it seems
notice.
like they wouldn't be.
Well, one thing you'll notice right away. They're not asking for anything.
Right.
That's what she's saying. Giving back.
People
automatically just giving
Not
back.
claiming anything.
The people who are like, oh, you know, for $49.99, I can take you on this 3-day thing with your friends.
And, you know, we live in a 3D world. So these people are, not only do they have families, and is their energy and the time that they give you worth so much, you know, like I've spent so much money, like I can't even tell you, like just sitting with people, but it's like I would pay that tenfold because I know that like just my experience was incredible. They have families in Peru or wherever that they're giving their money back to the actual land, which, you know, there's a prophecy that basically talks about the eagle and the condor and how, you know, the people of the land of this medicine, say ayahuasca, you know, it's almost like they sent out a call to like us, like Western folk, because
please come
and help. But then at the
but
same
more so, please expand your way.
Yeah, expand your way so that you can see and realize, and that's why it's coming more to the, you know, the Western world. But at the same time, you know, we still come in and we, you know, people colonize all kinds of things, you know, so it's like they come in and then whoever is thinking that they're, you know, whoever they are, and they're paying, you know, and asking for all this money, and they're not in that reciprocity of giving back to the land. So, you know, something that when I'm working with medicines and the people that we have come in, I have just, they've been brought to me, you know, so I can, it's just, I haven't gone out and looked for them or tried to find that. It's just come, and that's how I know it's spirit.
That's a thing, and don't mistake my saying that people don't ask for anything for meaning that you shouldn't bring something. And in most cultures, if you seek out any sort of guru of any kind, you bring a gift. It's well known. It's well known.
My buddy, man, who I love to death. Actually, I got to go see him because I just found out he had a heart attack.
Oh man.
Yeah, I got to go see him. But he introduced me to spirituality on a whole different level. A lot of things we're talking about, and he had a shaman. He would want me to bring something. I'm like, I don't know this dude.
Right.
No, you telling me about him. I have yet to meet him. I don't know anything. I'll give him something. And even if I have a conversation with him on the phone for like 5 minutes, give him something like, no, I'm good. Because I just didn't, you know.
Well, that's the difference. You're not seeking him. If you were seeking him,
that's a good point, man. Exactly. Yeah.
So,
and I trusted my buddy because he introduced me to a lot of things that really helped shape me and help me be what I love to call right now present. You know what I'm saying? Like being present.
The other good thing to mention in this regard is that psychedelics are not the only way to achieve this.
Exactly.
Right.
There's many things, and I brought up the word prophet. Prophet's a odd word that a lot of people are afraid to use. A prophet is merely a person who, without knowing it, brings wisdom into your life. And we all have prophets.
Without knowing it.
We all have prophets. I've got a guy I went to school with. His name's Jason Germain. He's one of my favorite people on the entire planet. I remember in high school seeing this guy. He just lived so different from everybody else, and he was not connected to ego whatsoever. And everybody I was raised around in high school, especially in the 90s, it was pure ego and id. And I'm watching him, and he had a different way of being, and he seemed so at peace. And so I always thought of him as what I wanted to be, but he was a little too at peace for me. He was a little too far out from society. I still wanted a career and all these things, you know. But periodically I'd go see this guy, and every time through just conversation alone, I would walk away a better, smarter, more developed individual. So you all have prophets in your own life. Think about
you don't
people
even
that
realize
inspire you.
You don't even realize it.
And so while some people prefer this journey, there are ways, and for being spiritual also means being religious for some people. For some people, through meditation or reading scripture or gathering, they get this same type of thing.
I've
the
done
difference though is it's sort of like imagine going to college for 2 to 4 years versus a 6-month course. That's what psychedelics are. They're a 6-month course.
It's years of therapy in 8 hours.
I've actually done a lot of those alternate avenues of
achieving
that without the psychedelics or anything like that. I've done, obviously, meditation is a big one. I
envy you. I want to get better at that. I'm so not good at it.
I mean, there's so many ways that you can meditate that you probably do already meditate and you don't realize you're meditating.
Hey, Matty, check out this book.
My garden is my spot.
Yeah, that's a form of meditation.
Yeah, that's a form of meditation.
If you're indulging in something that you're super passionate about and that's all you're thinking about when you're doing it, that's a form of meditation.
That's what
you're present. You're truly in the moment.
You're escaping.
People
That's a healthy
saying-
way of coping. You're escaping.
People keep saying to me, you have so many plants out there and you haven't put in a sprinkler system.
Yeah.
That must be a pain in the ass to water it. And
like,
I
I
always
love
say
it.
to them, what that means is at the end of every day, every work day, whatever stresses I have, I come home and it forces me to hand water these plants. It takes about 40 minutes, but in that process, it's grounding. It gets my mind off of the BS.
Yeah, it's healthy.
And then at the same time, it connects with something that's alive. So like you're saying, it's a source, like connection with the source.
Yeah, exactly.
Something you're tending and taking care of. And it doesn't have to be that for everybody.
Right. No. What I've recently done is I was talking to you right before this was the hypnotherapy sessions. And I've done 2 sessions, and it's a local guy here in the Valley. He's downtown Medford.
Before we go on, did you have a goal in mind, or were you just checking it out?
Yeah,
That's
so I don't want to get extremely deep, but since I was 21,
tell us your deepest
since
traumas.
I was 21, I've really struggled with gambling, and so gambling has been my coping mechanism of escaping traumas and things that happened in my past when I was a kid. And I never thought that I would get into gambling because I watched my parents and everybody around me kind of go into it. I don't want to be depressing, but I spent multiple times. I was 5-6 years old, 9 hours in the car while my mom gambling her paycheck away at the bar, and then we go home and don't have any money. And it's like, I'm like, why would anybody ever do this? And I'm, pissing and shitting my pants in the car because I couldn't go to the bathroom anymore just in the car. So and now only to find myself, like you said, doing the same thing. And I'm like, why the fuck would I ever do this?
Yeah, that's how it works.
Why would I ever do this?
Yeah, but believe it or not, what you experience is common but sad. It's common. Like you
it's
look
a cycle.
Up, you look up and you're part of that cycle. Whether it's you chose somebody like your mom or you're living in habits like your mom.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so proud I got out of country music because I was raised in that cycle. Yeah. And I did not perpetuate it. I left it behind and I said no. It's going to be
no Conway Twitty for you.
But yeah, so I for years was disappointed in myself for even getting into this and being like, how did this happen? And I never struggled with drinking or smoking or any sort of drugs or anything like that. So I was like, oh, I'm great. And then I turned 21, and it's usually only one thing for me of a slot machine.
Everybody's got their thing.
It was my escape. When I was playing on the machine, it's just me and the machine. I didn't have to worry about anything, and it's what I would do to escape my problems. And the only thing about that is it heightened them even more. So after the fact, I've lost X amount of dollars, and now I still have all my problems on top of it. And so I'm like, it's been, and I don't want to have this addiction around when my daughter becomes coherent enough to see it. I want to be able to get to a healthy point in my life to where I know, yes, I did struggle with this, and I can sit down and have a conversation with her and say, look, this is a very real thing. People go through stuff. This is something you might face, and I want you to know what daddy's story was, and this is how I got through it.
Yeah, because
hypnotherapy.
Yeah. So hypnotherapy has helped me a lot. Sorry, I got a little emotional. I always get emotional.
So you went in
talking about my daughter. It always gets me emotional.
That's right.
That's what I was saying earlier off camera. We were saying like one day your daughter's going to listen to all this shit, and she'll be crying. She'll be like, my dad is such a good dad.
awesome.
Yeah.
My daughter will listen to this and she'll be like, wow, it's a good he crazier than I thought.
No, my kids be like, I hope you got paid for that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So with hypnotherapy, so it's basically taking you back to that place of trauma.
Yeah, so that was what this last session I had with him. We're gonna do 5 sessions. We're on our set. We just did our second. The first one was kind of, he asked me where I want to be, what I'm dealing with, like what I want to achieve with these hypnotherapy sessions, and the biggest one was obviously overcoming my gambling addiction and not wanting to indulge in that behavior and trying to find different avenues. And so the first one was, putting me in hypnosis and, kind of talking about the addiction and saying that, there's better things that I can do, basically.
More healthier.
More health. Yeah, a lot healthier. And this last one was crazy because, we did a little bit in the first one, but when you put me in hypnosis, he had me go back to, he said, now, pick a time that you felt like that resonates with you the most in your childhood. And so the first, I picked the first instance that came to mind, and he said, where are you at? I said, at home. Is it night or day? Night. Are you alone or with someone? I said, I'm alone. He said, what do you feel? I said, I feel scared. I don't know what's happening. And so he's like, is this the first time you felt that way? And I said, no. And so we did it again because he wanted me to go to the very first instant I ever felt that trauma or scared and aloneness. And so we did that. Had me sit with that. I literally felt like I was 5 again.
Yes.
Like it was insane. Like I get goosebumps.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen goosebumps talking about it. But
and people think hypnotism is going to expose them to someone putting influences in their mind. Think about hypnotism as a way of accessing doors that you've purposely locked.
It's
you've locked them from yourself
your
so that you don't open them and feel what's outside.
You're accessing that part of your brain that you can't just do by just thinking about it.
But you also can't do it because you've shut it for so long.
You shut it.
So it's like hiring a contractor to bust
and that's what's so effective
effective
about it. So this last session that we did, like I said, it brought me back to when I was 5. And he had me sit with that feeling and imagine how it felt. And he said, okay, now we're going to bring you back to today, but we're going to bring yourself today to that time. And he's like, okay, so if you had what you have now, because you can't change the past, but you can actually change how you feel about it, because the expression everybody always says, I wish I knew then what I know now.
Yeah, I like that. I like change
I wish I knew then what I know
feel
now.
about it. Yeah.
Well, with hypnotherapy, you can know, you can experience, you can know then what you know now, because
you
can
rewire.
So he had me take myself back, and if I had somebody like myself, and this is crazy because this makes you like really proud of yourself as a person.
Do you, baby? Do you,
go
man?
ahead.
Do you?
You're in a place
proud
of
of
love,
you.
Zach.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you, man. Proud of you.
You don't understand like how far you've come.
Right? No, we talk a lot about some of the things that you've had to get over and how, you've had to be strong and become that person that you're proud of.
Yeah. So I got to bring myself today back to then.
Yes.
And be with myself.
Yep. It's like sitting next to your inner child, but this time around you're being kind.
And it's like
you're being kind.
Yes.
Yep.
You're not looking at that kid like, what's wrong with you? You're looking at that kid like, God damn, I miss being you.
Yeah.
You know you're okay. And I envisioned myself as a kid like it was my daughter. And so I'm like, dude, we got this.
You got this.
We're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yep. And the cool thing about
You're
it
so safe,
is what I really love, Zach, is now how much more stronger and confident and wise and secure you're going to be.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. Thank you. That's what that was for.
Where the hell that come from?
Hey, I knew it was going to get emotional
I love
today.
that.
Betty had that she put that shit like a
I love
magician.
it.
Why does it smell like Lubriderm?
Because you need some help, I'm just trying to keep those wrinkles away.
This is unexpected, but I don't know.
No, it's so perfect because, this, we kind of touched on it earlier, and this is what we do in the breathwork room as well. It's all about getting back to that inner child.
Yeah.
Like if there's anything else, it's just connect in with your inner child, connect in with that piece of yourself that's always there. And I always say, it's like, we're just really little kids running around in adult bodies. Like we're carrying those same traumas, those same things that, like even our parents just saying no. That's embedded in our bodies. And so with the breath work, it's a very similar. It's like I hold that space for people to connect into their breath, to become present, and like to really dive into that. And whatever comes through is always perfect.
How does the sound element, sound therapy, how does that work into it?
Yeah. So it's all the tools, right? So if someone comes into the room, I'm guiding them through a certain kind of breath that is kind of hypnotic in the way that it is. And it's bringing up all of the stuck emotions, the stuck energy that's within the body. So if somebody flips you off in traffic and you're like, and you feel that viscerally in your body, as humans, we don't allow ourselves to fully feel that emotion.
Right. You push it down.
You push it down. You use, you grab your cigarette, like you do, whatever.
Thank you for calling me out on the air.
Secret tobacco here anyway, so I
gonna-
just
we're
keep
gonna-
on giving you
we're
a
gonna
jab.
smoke
But
some.
we're
Blaze
gonna
it
smoke
up.
some.
We gonna blaze that
do it.
sacred
It might
We're
be a
gonna have a
longer. It
conversation
might be a
about-
longer episode because I do want to get into that.
Yeah,
too.
I'm
yes,
down for that.
let's
I'm
do
a
it.
huge fan of
down for that.
medicinal
Well, that's
herbals. So.
Well, it's true. Like you should not. You don't allow yourself to just feel it and let it go,
Exactly.
because that's
with
one
it.
thing that a lot of addicts are taught to do.
That's
is
what addiction is.
when you get the triggers and cravings, chill out.
You can't sit with it.
Just let it sit with it and let it go through and watch
It's
how
called.
you come out at the
It's
end.
called sit in the fire.
Yeah,
Ooh,
exactly.
I
You hear
like
that
that.
expression? Like
Yeah.
I'm.
That's the first time I heard that. I like it.
And you know, like sitting in
Yeah,
the
sit in
fire
the
is
fire,
important
yeah.
because until you do it, you don't move on
Right.
from it.
Yeah,
That-
in our world, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Our world is like, it's operated in the sense of like, okay, so here, this, we have our phones, we have so many distractions and so many things, and
Yeah.
I believe it's built that way.
Yeah.
So we don't actually go within, we don't actually access these emotions and the
Right.
energy that's within the body, you know.
Right.
So that's what breathwork does. Excuse me. So what this type of breath. It brings all of those built up stagnant energies within the body up and out. And so when you're bringing in so much oxygen into your body, it's like the energy has nowhere else to go but out. So you're in this beautiful, sacred, safe container, and you're able to feel all those things, just like you were able to do that in hypnotherapy. You're
Yeah.
able to really
Crazy.
say, I'm safe right here. And like, I can bring me, Amanda, as an adult to my little girl and
Right.
say like, hey, however you're feeling, like I see you, I hear you, like you're
Yeah.
good, you know?
Because if you had that guidance when you were that age, you wouldn't feel this, the same way about it. So now that instance, with that hypnotherapy that I did, he had me describe, like, if I could describe the feeling of like if there was a shape in my body or where the pain was coming from, or, so I had said it was in my heart and it felt like, or like in my chest, it felt like there was like just a cloud fog of blackness. And then, so after we did I go back, talk to my younger self and kind of say, yo, we're good. We got all the love we need. We're chilling. He asked me to describe like what I felt at that situation now. And I was like, I feel fine. Like, I feel like I'm going to bed. I feel like it's just another day.
It's almost like, what do you
I feel
feel?
like-
And you're like, I no longer feel anything.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like clean. You know what I mean? In a sense.
you
So-
drop it.
And so that was a way of sitting with that. I hadn't felt that feeling since I was that age. So it was really like reminiscent upon going back to that time and being like, holy shit, here we are. Like this is it. And so, and I hadn't, so with you, like what you said, Carl, what you brought up about sitting with it, that's one thing that actually I benefited from this whole quarantine thing, because I wasn't able to gamble or anything. So I had to,
that's a good point.
I had to.
I really like this point. There have been a lot of people
Yeah.
unexpectedly.
Unexpectedly.
They weren't planning on it, but
Unexpectedly,
through
yeah.
cut off access
Exactly.
to what
Yeah.
was
Exactly.
ailing them.
Yeah,
were
yeah,
able
yeah.
to get over.
Yeah.
it.
So so not last year, the year before, October of 2019, I went to a gambling rehab in Salem for 32 days. That was the longest I ever spent away from my daughter, and that was freaking so hard.
The hardest part.
So hard. So, I mean, I props to anybody that's in the service and things like that have to spend, years away from their kids.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I couldn't do that. Like, cheers to
And
you.
props to the kids that have to wait.
Yeah, exactly. So that was hard in itself, but I came back from that not thinking, oh, I'm healed, I'm going to do this, but that was a great experience within itself, and that's another path. But then the whole quarantine thing hit, and I was like, well, I can't gamble even if I wanted to. If I wanted to go gamble, I couldn't do it. So I had to sit with those feelings. I had to sit with those traumas. I had to face myself. And that was a really hard time for me. That was super hard, because it's like,
But
you
now,
don't even go,
like looking at it now,
Yeah.
so here you are at this stage in your life, and at a very young age compared to most people.
Right.
Most people seek therapy in their mid-30s, 40s.
Right.
That's kind of when they finally get mature enough to go, yeah, I could do some work. So here you are at your age, and you've already recognized these are the things I don't want to do. These are the things I need to get over. These are the things. But then on top of it, you're going even deeper as far as like, let's bring up the stuff that maybe I don't know.
right.
So the uncomfort or the discomfort of doing that work and the awkwardness of doing that work to a stranger, as short-lived as it will be,
Right.
the repercussions in a positive way for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
of
the
not,
mountain of benefits is going to
not
bring.
carrying
Right.
all
Not
of
carrying that weight. And
because
it's,
that's the thing. Like, I've sat with a lot of people that are elderly, some of the jobs I've had, and you learn a thing or two. It's funny, you talk to young people, they say, oh, you should do this, and this is how you live your life. And you talk to somebody
Right.
that's in their 40s and, oh, that's what you do. Talk to somebody in their 50s. Nah, talk to somebody that's 85.
Yeah.
And ask them, what would you do different? And that's when you learn real lessons. And one of the lessons I learned from so many people working with like hospice care, for example, at the end of life where they're really thinking about stuff. Oh man, you want to talk about wisdom. You want to talk about profits. You want to profit, go to that resting home. But seriously, in working with those people, the common theme was regret. It wasn't anything else. It wasn't I was not rich enough. It wasn't that I didn't have enough friends. It wasn't this. It was regret for different things. And one of the biggest things people would say to me is, I let myself be this way for so long that I can't change. So to everybody that's listening or watching, if there's something about yourself or there's a discomfort or something, a burden that you carry along with you because you're afraid
Address it.
of bringing it up.
Yeah.
Bringing it up
Yeah.
is the first way to uproot it.
Well, it's like what you said earlier. It's going to be uncomfortable, but anytime you want growth,
It's
going to be uncomfortable.
Way
You're not
less
gonna be-
comfortable to carry it for 40, 50 years.
Right. But that you don't understand that until you actually go through the process.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
it becomes a beautiful moment, just like the hypnotherapy thing. I came out of that session and I was like, whoa,
Yeah, you broke
what the hell just happened?
you broke ground
Yeah,
and just
like
started
a-
a new foundation.
Just like a psychedelic experience.
exactly.
Yeah.
In the future, when you have an uncomfortable situation, you can look back at that moment
Right.
of you taking that risk
Yeah.
to do that work and go, well, if I can do that.
Right. And the main goal with it too is I want to get to a point to where I can take my experience of what I went through and help people that are going through the same thing.
Right. And then you become the unknowing prophet. You don't realize it.
Yeah.
Right.
But for other people, you become.
Right. And that's the goal. And that's why, so I've done a lot of therapy growing up with counselors and stuff. And the best counselors, and Carl, you're a counselor, you understand this.
Counselor Kyle.
The best counselors are people that have experienced that same thing and been through the same thing and came out on the other side.
Exactly.
And I think you can attest to that as well too.
That's why I respect Carl so much, because him being a former prostitute, his perspective on life.
I'm still swinging that dick.
Hey, I was trying to keep
ain't
it
no
on
former,
the
man.
down low for you.
Hey,
but-
hey, Levi, make sure you put current prostitute below my name.
Right. Put his
I'm
cash
still
app.
slinging it.
Put his cash app, and then under his title say prostitute. Currently.
Black Anus. Remember your name? Black Anus. Black Anus.
We give a quick shout out to our new sponsor, Carl Vagina.
Carl.
Yeah. So Zach, let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
So what was it, man? They got you to that point. I was like, I gotta go to therapy.
My daughter.
To this level
My
that you
daughter.
went. You went to a whole other level.
Yeah, clap for this
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, man.
Do
You
some
went-
shit like this for your kids.
You
man.
went to a whole other level. So you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you said, coming up, you experienced therapy, counseling, but this is a whole nother level.
So me growing up, it was a struggle. I never knew what I was meant to do. What I always struggled, like, what am I going to do? Like, oh, am I going to play sports? Am I going to be a rapper? Am I going to do this? Am I going to do that?
And it turns out it was this podcast.
Yes.
This podcast, that's it. That's your
fucking destiny.
I was going to be Carl's biological son.
Yeah,
That's what
I want you to
gonna
give
be.
up real estate. I want you to and just do the podcast,
Yeah, well,
raise
because
your daughter.
The spirit led you to this
Yeah.
podcast.
So I was lost. I still feel lost at times. I mean, we all do.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what my purpose was. I had parents that didn't love me. I didn't have much of a family structure, so it was like, why? What is my existence for? Then I had my.
But we
daughter.
still got to remind everybody that you had rad grandparents.
Oh, my grandparents. If it weren't for my grandparents, I wouldn't be here today.
And
I can
also,
tell you
Zach,
that.
let me go to my counselor hat right quick.
Yes.
Because when you say you had parents that didn't love you.
No, I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah, but get it though. But see, the thing
Right.
about it too is what we don't realize when we're looking at our parents' behaviors
Right.
and what we wish they could have done.
They had the same issues. They just didn't face
That's it. If they could have done anything different,
And I do have grace with them. I do have grace with them because
Yes.
I know they. I don't
word.
associate with them, but I have grace in my heart for them because I understand that they went through their own traumas and experiences. They just didn't.
That's
take,
it, Zach.
They just didn't take the same path I did to fix it.
Exactly.
And now I'm here, and I'm
have sympathy. Anybody watching
Right.
and listening?
I have empathy.
sympathy or empathy, either or.
Right.
I go with
Either
empathy
or.
more than sympathy. 'Cause
Have empathy
I'm
for
not
your
gonna accept
parents'
that.
I do, for
generation because this was not encouraged for
Right.
them.
Right.
Yeah.
Therapy was not encouraged.
Right.
for
True.
their
It wasn't
Yeah.
very
So
normal.
don't think
It
of your
wasn't.
parents and grandparents as if they wouldn't have done this
Right.
had this been encouraged.
It wasn't.
Right. So I have a lot of grace for them because I understand they went through their own stuff. I don't really associate with them because there've been so many bridges burnt that it's hard to forgive that.
Yeah.
I do associate with your mom. Sorry,
I
to break
wouldn't.
that
She looks
to
like
you.
Brian
She one of my
Urlacher. She
customers.
looks like Brian Urlacher.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Did you think I had
She
standards
looks
and
like
morals?
Mickey Rourke and Hellboy had a baby. That's what my mom looks
Standards.
like.
What's
Standards.
that?
I don't have a closet to keep that.
standards.
Shit
My mom
in.
looks like a dad. My mom is dad, okay? No, anyways. So there's just been too many bridges burned. I just, and after having my own child, I don't hold stuff against my parents, but I do have a standard, and I say I can never picture myself doing anything like this to my daughter.
That's
So
it, man.
I'm not, I don't feel like you were my parents. My grandparents are my parents. I'll take that to my grave. That's my mom and dad.
That's how it is.
So I want to take it to the next direction. So you brought these pre-rolls with you, and it's sorry.
Oh, shucks.
I still want to applaud
Yeah.
Zach.
Should I,
I want to
Thank
applaud
you.
Zach. We love
Thank
Zach.
you. Thank you.
So, but no, I want to talk a little bit about this.
yeah.
Like this is important to me. So part of what we're going to talk about is herbs today. And while that's important to me, that's what I do for a living. I work at a company that's an herbal company, and that's what we focus on. So I want people that are listening and watching to understand that flowers can do some pretty cool things.
Flowers were brought here to. I mean, look at the way the flowers were produced.
Boom.
Beautiful as effortlessly. You know what I mean? So it's
Well,
like
it's not effortless.
no, well, you
They
know
got
what I'm
some
talking
bees
about.
that
I'm talking
pollinate.
about
For
way
the
before.
flower, it is.
Yeah, so you're right for the flower, but all the other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, they're in Oregon alone. For anybody, we're based in Southern Oregon here.
Southern Oregon.
Southern Oregon,
But
baby.
we sometimes forget we have national listeners.
We forget how beautiful it is.
Oh,
Right.
Zach, it's funny
Not
you
only
said
is
that.
it beautiful, but check this out. You might not know this. If you live in Southern Oregon, there are 40 plus medicinal herbs that grow here naturally.
Damn.
And they're also called bioregional. Now, bioregional means they were meant to be here. They thrive in this environment and they don't harm the environment.
Beautiful.
Out of those 40 plus herbs, guess how many of them are medicinal?
40.
38.
40 plus.
40, what? There's only 40, you said.
I said 40 plus.
But before you said there's only 40, you said 40.
40.
Oh, here go this. That,
Like me, I'm 40 plus. But I say 40 plus because
You can't say 40 plus when you're 55. That doesn't-
This old
You're Denny's
mathematician ass.
discount.
Hey, I identify as younger than I
old
am.
mathematician.
But
ass Zach.
listen to this. Out of those herbs, there's about 8 that grow in your lawn.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's cool about it is it's medicine. They do all kinds of things. Matter of fact, there's an herb that was basically synthetically produced, and it's now called aspirin. It's a common herb.
Yeah, all of our medicine comes from herbs, comes
from a plant.
a plant. But
Acetaminophen.
then they've just, distorted it in so many ways.
They
but-
hell of a synthesize that shit. Opiates.
Yeah. Exactly.
But people don't realize that some of these herbs are also smokable, and quite a few of these herbs are...
So what all do you smoke, Matty?
Yeah.
First of all, the competition.
You heard that.
That's hilarious.
No.
I don't have that on.
Yeah, you messed up my soundbite. I was going to have a hero soundbite right there.
Zach, what were you saying? You were just saying something about living in this part of the country.
Oh, we just people that haven't been out of Southern Oregon don't understand how freaking beautiful we have
It is.
here.
I
Shut
tell
the
you
fuck
what,
up.
what
Do
we
not
have
come to
here.
Oregon. Do not. If you are listening to this, stop coming to Oregon.
Yeah.
If you want it to stay beautiful, fucking stay home.
They don't understand that we have an
Stop
outbreak of
coming and moving
Ebola
from
here. They don't
California.
understand.
Yeah. Sorry.
Stop moving from California.
It's
and take
so
up
beautiful,
all our
but if you
housing.
move here, you will probably die. So
Yeah, just so you know, if
hell?
you're not from Oregon, you shouldn't come here because it's wildfire season 12 months
Yeah.
out of the year, 13 months out of the year.
No,
actually.
it's crazy, but you don't realize if you haven't been out. So my daughter's mom, when we were together, her niece or her cousin came here with her kid and her boyfriend because they celebrated our daughter's birthdays together for their first birthday because they were like right around each other. And he's like, man, it's so beautiful. He's like, I never left Texas.
is.
He's like, you guys have mountains. And I
It's
was like, you've
nature.
never seen mountains?
Beautiful
He was
nature.
like, he's like, dude, it's so
Beautiful.
pretty here. And I'm like,
It is,
I mean,
man.
think if you're born in a bigger city, if you're born like in Texas or, in Arizona and stuff. I mean, Arizona is beautiful within itself, but we're a different kind of beautiful. We have everything around.
It is a different type of beautiful. Because if you think about it, you know how many people are hikers out
Right.
here? And what hiking.
and that's a funny thing too. Like when you're hiking, what are you doing? You're looking around at all
yeah,
the stuff.
you're meditating.
Those
Right.
It's
plants.
walking meditation.
Yeah, it is. That's
There's a
form of
reason
meditation.
why when you walk past certain plants, you'll
Mm-hmm.
fixate on them.
Yeah.
Your
There's a-
body needs them.
There's a thing called instinct, and we forget about it.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
like
Yeah.
animals, we're born with information that came
Mm-hmm.
from generations. And there's certain things you'll walk by in the forest, and you'll look and you go, "Man, that's a beautiful flower." And it's not just you noticing that flower;
Yeah.
it's
Reason
because
for it,
ingrained in there a long time ago that was medicine.
doing some kind of
So
yeah.
So what have you brought?
Yeah, light it up.
Speaking of
Let's
medicine,
light these up. Yeah,
Dr.
so,
Quinn.
So these are
Dr.
I just dated myself.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's an old
I
one.
love that show. I don't give a damn. I still watch it. It's on the Spiritual Network.
What show is it?
Dr. Quinn, medicine woman.
Oh, jeez.
It's on the Inspirational Network. Great show. If you don't feel like watching
Next
a lot of
of
violence,
Lifetime.
takes place in the cowboy era.
Oh, really?
Dr. Quinn. Mhm.
Dr. Queen.
Here we go.
Wow.
And
Tell
it
us
was
more about
very
this.
empowering for women too. She was a lead. That was a time when there was not a lot of female leads
wow.
in the series, and she was like the show.
And it went on forever. It's beautiful. It has a.
Imagine House, except for she wasn't an asshole.
She wasn't an ass.
She was just really brilliant at medicine.
But that made House good. I like that. I like the fact that.
yeah.
he
All
was
right,
like
sorry, I
that.
asked
And
the
that
question.
limp.
We've gotten derailed. I asked
Exactly.
the question. So show us
go
what
ahead.
you got.
So yeah, these are just a sacred smoke blend that I make. Yeah, they're pre-rolls, and so it's all herbs. So it's you'll have to it's Damiana, lavender,
Lavender, chamomile,
Tell me what that means. What is
Blue.
that?
So
Dalai Lama.
cornflower,
Damiana
Oh,
is
his sister.
and lemon balm. Ooh, lemon balm.
so
So this blend is like really good for relaxation.
Yeah, there we
It's
go.
Yeah, it's really good for
Exactly.
like end of the day. You want to just unwind.
Well, see, when Zach told me about this, and I was like, yeah, I'll give it a try because it's herbal, right?
Yeah.
And I remember when I was going through my transition, my spiritual transition, and getting myself reprogrammed and sleepy time tea.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, and that's still a herb. So when
Yep.
people see, but they see it rolled up, they freak out. Like,
Right.
like
Yeah.
Same thing.
No, if you drink tea, bitch, you just had some herbs.
Yeah, exactly.
Bitch.
well, and that's the other thing too is there's a big stigma around cannabis and hemp, and they're both just herbs.
Yeah.
An herb is
Yeah.
just a plant that is a perennial plant that comes back each year that can be harvested for a particular reason or use. So a lot of things are herbs. You know,
I've always thought, like, if it grows out of the ground, how bad is it really?
Right.
For you?
Yeah, when I was growing up, joints, weed was called herb.
Yeah, herb. Yeah.
All the OGs be
still
like,
say
let's go
herb.
smoke some herb.
That's what I say.
because
too.
that was
I'm
what it was.
talking about
So-
in the 80s, early 80s. You know what I'm saying? So this,
Yeah.
So when you put these together, you know, obviously for people that don't see what I'm holding up, so there's a lot of different ingredients. So like Damiana, for example, is a specific herb, and it tends to be very kind of almost euphoric slightly and very relaxing. And then you got lavender, which of course
also
tastes
another
amazing,
relaxing.
but also lavender is aromatic. So when you smoke it, it's like a sage being around you. And then, but there's a couple on here that I don't know as well. So like blue cornflower.
So that one's really good for your nervous system. So it's gonna really reset your nervous system and just like put you into a calm space. Yeah.
beautiful.
So this is like a calming blend, is what I
It
think.
is.
blend,
That's
yeah,
all it
100%.
is. It's
And then
to bring you
lemon
back.
balm, you know, it's got its own different medicinal uses. But for people that don't know, lemon balm is just straight fire to put in any herbal blend
Yeah.
because it makes it taste really,
Really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just like honestly, just intuitively kind of I have a bunch of herbs at the house and just kind of came up with this and put it all together. And
So
I'm
these
like,
are
yeah, let's get down.
self-cultivated.
Get down. Let's light
Oh,
this
very
up.
cool.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
cool. So now-
Herbal Adderall.
So here's
Yeah.
what people don't know. When it comes to herbs and herbalism, there's a lot more.
I'm blind as shit.
I know it.
Somebody get Carl his
I knew I was
bifocals.
going to bring a pair of my glasses.
Oh,
really
good. He's like, hold on a minute.
Well, Carl, just so you know,
see this
just so
shit.
you know,
Like-
I literally just read it to you.
I know.
Yeah, Carl.
I know.
I'm jealous.
The text is really
Maddie
small.
saw
I'm
that
jealous you
shit.
can read.
Because I'm literate.
No,
Yeah.
that he can see. I can read.
I can read.
Well, you can't read very well
I
if
can
you
read.
can't
Why you
see.
say like a Disney movie song? I can read.
I had to sound educated. I can read.
I can read, you son of a
You son of a bitch.
I can read.
So
all of a sudden,
Brings out the song. Yeah, he gets in front of the camera.
but people don't realize in order to do this, so you got to cultivate the herb,
Yeah.
right, and then you also have to know how to harvest it, when to harvest it, and how to kind of dry it the right way. So something like this, people might go, "Oh, whatever." She grew some plants in her yard, and she made these pre-rolls. But you actually have to kind of know what you're doing to be able to do this.
I mean, I guess so. I just kind
Guess
of,
so. I don't know.
I was
You
trying to
know.
sponsor
That's
you. Here you are.
hilarious.
You're like, no.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, I
I'm
guess.
You know,
Yes.
sometimes it's like we put so much. I mean, this is just with anything, with spirituality, with breath work, with all the things. It's like, oh, I need this new certification, or I need this like thing to tell me that I know how to do something. Like, just go out in your garden and go pick, you know, or or go and pick something and just be with it, connect to the spirit of it.
And
that's
say
really,
smoke it. Pick something and smoke it.
And that's really what it's about for me is like, yes, of course, like
Smoke
it
a
takes
dandelion.
knowledge to do the things, and to learn. And it's just about your attention to something. And if you want to learn something, then you will, but for herbs and anything that's from the earth, for me, it all has a spirit, so it's really about connecting to the spirit for me.
That's it.
And so,
that's true for sure.
Each
Sage.
and everything has something, it's like Dhamyana is really balancing the masculine and the feminine energies within you, which we all have, so in lavender, like, or, sage or Palo Santo is protective and it's really going to like protect it and cleanse your space, so those spirits have, like what they're here to do, how they're here to help us,
From day one.
Light that
From day one.
Yeah, let's light
The other thing to know about herbal medicine for people, especially if you're considering making a switch from like pharmaceutical based or over the counter based things to trying herbal stuff, it's really important to know that herbs, they work different for every body. Each body is different. And so for a lot of people, it takes a little while of exposure to an herb to really feel what it's supposed to kind of do for the body. So keep in mind, if you do try any kind of herbal medicine, you need to take it more than a few times to see what it's going to do.
Herbs are going to be really subtle. There are those heroic herbs that really like can get you, and but at the same time, it's all the subtleties. Which, is like everything. It's really tuning into what's around and what's going on. I mean,
everybody watch Carl smoke anything is going to be hilarious.
I know. There might be.
Hit it, Carl. Hit that shit, Carl. Hit that shit, Carl.
I like the way Matty smokes.
Shit, I'm a bad influence for Carl. I just realized it. Damn it.
I know. If you really like,
I was going to go 45.
Another thing,
just chew on those.
Another thing with herbs, if anybody is ever going to try an herbal smoking mix or anything, before you get it to this point, it's a roll of your own kind of thing, it can be really helpful to just lightly kind of mist them a little bit with water, because if you buy dried herbs or something like that, they can be pretty dry. It'll keep it from being so
moist a little bit,
so like a harsh kind of thing on your throat.
That makes
sense.
But the other great thing about herbs is the smell of them is very aromatic.
It is.
So like unlike a cigarette or just a pure cannabis joint, it's actually pretty pleasant afterwards. It almost has like a potpourri.
Exactly. That's what came to mind for me.
But that's what's neat about mixing herbs. So if you're looking to find out more information about what you do, is there a place people go to find what you're doing?
Yeah, thank you. It's the which one did we do?
Your mama calling.
Now my lungs is
She's
open.
here to warn you about Matty J. She's like, don't be a
chakra.
My throat chakra is open right now.
That
You know what I'm
was
saying?
No, that was her mom. Like, I heard
Yeah.
you're hanging around this Matt guy. You need to run, girl, run.
Matty's J's.
Matty's J's.
So people can find me on the Insta, of course. And then my website is called theroyalvibejourney.com. And then on Instagram, it's Mwiza, M-W-I-Z-A, Marie, M-A-R-I-E.
Mwiza.
We will put those links up for people too.
So you can find everything that I do there, all the stuff with the breath work, the retreat. So pretty much now it's just all private. Oh.
Sorry.
He's like, fake April Fools.
Matty, you know damn
Fake
well
news.
you passed that
April
stage.
Fools.
You passed that stage.
I was just trying to make Carl feel better.
Okay, so we have the Royal Vibe Journey. The address is 211 West Main Street in Medford, Oregon. And guess on the third floor, guess what? I read this bitch. I saw it. His eyes can read, Zach.
Now, and you guys just started this? This is a new thing? Because it says grand opening.
Oh, yes. Okay, so I have been there for now, maybe 4 months?
4 months,
Four
I
or
would
5
say.
months, I
So
want to say.
you missed the first opening, but now she's experienced.
Grand reopening.
So now these are like little cards that I like to give out to people. If I meet them, I connect with them. I'm like, hey, come and check this
dope.
out, And
So dope.
it's been there. It's been a really, it's my sacred space, which honestly, like I was asking for, because right now I live with family, and it's like I can't burn my sage and do all my stuff, that I want to do.
Your family be like, she's the witch.
They're like, you're
Don't come up here with this stuff.
Sweetie, stop burning your shit.
She's invoking the spirit.
The power of Christ will compel you.
Sweetie, it's 3 in the morning, and the house smells like fucking sage and chamomile.
One of my favorite
Uh-huh.
one of my favorite memories of my mom and cannabis. My mom is an amazing person, by the way.
Shout out to all the moms.
And she will definitely be one of those people that's out there pushing our podcast for sure. Like, oh, my baby, you should listen to him.
Look at him.
But I came home one day and I had been smoking a lot of weed, and it was before the age where I realized that I should do stuff like wash my hands and change my clothes.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't quite smart enough to realize how bad I smell like
grooming.
So I come home like just blitzed, but my mom was smart, so she would make me, if I come home late, I always had to go wake her up and like tell her good night, give her a kiss on the cheek, and I didn't realize what it was, right? But as you get older, like they can smell alcohol in your breath, or they can smell, right? So my mom she was real keen.
That's so funny.
Almost, right? So she had this game going. So one day I come home, and I had been smoking a lot of weed, and back then it was a really big deal. Really big. It wasn't like it is now.
I can't imagine.
Right.
Yep.
So I come in and I wake her up and I'm like, all right, Mom, love you. You know, have a good night. And I kiss her on the cheek and she goes, "You've been smoking."
That reefer.
Not in that voice. Right. Because she's still pretty sweet. But she was like, "I gotcha." Right.
Gotcha.
And I'm high as fuck. Right. So my paranoia is like, like in my mind, I'm like, she knows. Someone told her. She knows how many times and who I've been with. And she won't let me hang out with those friends anymore. Like all this stuff's going in my head. She goes, "You've been smoking." She said it again. And then the third time she goes, "You've been smoking cigarettes." And I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry, Mom.
Just one cigarette.
So
Just
she didn't know what
They
it
made
really
me do
smelled
it.
My
like.
grandma was super similar to that, but she didn't do it as a test. She just wanted me to let her know that I was home. And this woman, the funny thing about her is she gets scared so easily. And so she'd wear her little sleeping mask, and I'd go shake her leg, "Grandma, and she every single time, dude, shit was
hilarious.
so funny. And she would do it during the day too. If I'm talking to her and I get closer to talk to her,
And then she died of a
freaks
heart
out.
attack.
No, she's still alive. I'm going to visit her next week. But so I would try to be.
I like how he always spits that little
at her
thing out,
grave
like,
site.
I'm a great guy. I'm going to visit my grandmother.
At her grave
I haven't
site.
seen her in a year, and that's the longest I've gone my whole life.
What the
hell is wrong with
What's
you?
wrong with
She
you?
lives in
A
Portland
year?
because of COVID.
No, still, no.
No,
You're right. I
The
feel
roads
you.
were
I
working
feel you.
together.
Hashtag grandma shame.
No, because family didn't want us to spread it to. If I ever gave my grandma COVID or something and she died because of it, I would never be able to forgive myself.
Hey, when's the last time you Zoomed her?
Oh, I 2 days ago, 3
Oh,
days
that's
ago. I talked to her all the
good.
time.
All right.
I just want to make sure.
okay.
Me,
talked to her. We
me
just
and
haven't
Carl were
seen,
about
yeah.
to take you outside and bend you over our knee and teach you about being
I owe
a
that
real
woman
man.
my life. I would never.
I can't
so
spank my son. The Lord won't let me.
I can.
I would.
There we go.
I ain't blood, motherfucker.
Look.
I'll spank your
Uncle
son. I'll be
Matty.
like, you call your grandma.
Uncle
You
Matty will
ungrateful.
get your ass. Get him, Uncle Matty.
I would always try to be truthful to her and be like, "I'm gonna smoke weed tonight." And the thing with her is,
Yeah, we talked about that. She never believed
She
you.
would never believe me.
Yeah.
Yep, that was hilarious.
That jokester.
I'm like, what the fuck?
You can't. You
I'm
don't
like,
know
so
how to
funny.
handle no weed.
This isn't weed.
No, I'm saying your grandmother said that.
Oh,
you don't
yeah.
know how to handle
No, she didn't say that.
weed.
She just thought I was joking, so
Yeah.
she would just joke back.
So,
I'm like,
Carl,
that makes
sir.
sense.
now that you smoked a little bit, how's it feel to have the devil in you?
Your mother's a whore.
You were so pure before this moment, and now his head's gonna spin around.
Your nervous system.
God.
So
You're
let me
nice
ask
and
you this.
relaxed.
Let me ask you this. What's your favorite herb? To geek out on herbs, because I'm kind of a geek. Herb geek.
Man,
If you
my
had to pick.
favorite herb.
Someone's got a gun to your head. Tell me your herb, motherfucker. I'll pull this trigger. You tell me your herb.
I feel like the first thing that comes is just white sage is my favorite.
All right.
Yeah, I love white sage.
What is this?
This
My
is
rapper
white
name.
sage.
Exactly.
That's my rapper
I had a
name.
feeling.
Yeah, so it's
like your
It's
talisman.
really beautiful. Like it's all protective, you know. So yeah, it's my talisman.
You
Yeah.
brought it to protect you from
I did.
Carl.
I was like, I had to walk into this.
she puts
I,
it between you and Carl.
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
right.
know what I was walking into, you know. So I was like, "How's the
She
vibe
was-
of this
she
place going
felt
to be?"
it.
Like,
She
you know,
walked in
And
like
I was
Darth Vader.
Let me see. Okay, I felt good. I felt good in here. So I was just like, "All right, I don't need to bring out, you know, all the things." But
My house has a good energy.
yeah, it has a good energy in here for
does.
sure. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So
yeah,
check
white
this
sage.
out. So you use some terminologies that a lot of people aren't familiar with. I purchased this book years ago called The Anatomy of the Spirit. You ever heard of it? Look it up.
okay.
Beautiful book. Really introduced me to chakras and all that. A lot of people don't even know what that means. They just said chakras like you might think shock, like
Yeah,
chakra.
Thank you. Yeah. We have these energy centers within our body. So if you can imagine just like a hub of where like all the energy from like certain maybe organs or, you know, different meridians are all coming up together. And so they all kind of join up in these centers. And so that's kind of where that term chakra is, you know, is termed from. So it's all just energy really. And think
about it like if you go to massage or if you do energy work, a lot of it's just like that to allow it to flow through your body in the way it's supposed to. Because when it gets bound up, like things happen. Things happen physically from that.
Yeah, and that's what I believe too, and that's why, you know, breath work is so beautiful, because it's bringing everything to the surface so that you can release and let those emotions, those things go. The energy that's within your body, you can release it, and it's not being stored up, because that's how disease happens within the body.
You just spit it.
She just spit it. She just spit. Dis-ease. Your body's not pleased. Even when you sneeze.
On your knees.
Did I just sneeze? No, that was my body releasing this disease.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so it's like, just like if you watch a dog, like hit itself or something, what's the first thing that it does? It shakes. It shakes its whole entire body, and that's like, it's releasing that energy out of its body.
Sense. I never thought of that.
And so for us, like, we hold on to it, you know, we hold on to
sure
it,
do.
get stuck. And so
and you're right. That's how diseases. That's how a lot of diseases come about from, and we don't even realize that. So
I mean, think about autoimmune. They call it autoimmune because they don't know.
And it's a system.
Exactly. Yeah. So like an autoimmune system disease, they don't know what that actually is. They don't know where it comes from. So what I believe is it's energetic, right? So like, you know, people will go to the doctor and like, oh, everything's fine, but then I still feel like shit, you know? And it's like, well, actually, because are you accessing your emotions? Are you really like looking at the way you're thinking? Or
and most people aren't, and not through their own fault. It's just the world that we live in.
We don't
keeps us so busy.
Well, and people accept it, honestly. Like, if you, let's say you have a bad knee and you're like, oh, I just got bad knees. Well, they're gonna get worse quicker. Because you're accepting the fact that you have a bad knee. And you're not
because it's like when you accept it, you have a cavity. You end up with a gold tooth.
Or you end up with a what is it called when your mouth gets infected?
Leprosy.
No.
I just wanted to say leprosy.
Mouth herpes.
No.
Hand, foot, and mouth?
It'll come to me because
gingivitis.
Because if you don't take care of that little thing, it becomes a big thing.
Like a root canal or something?
No, not a root canal. Abscess.
Abscess, there you go.
Yeah, and if you don't take care of it, that's what a lot of people don't realize. Like, you just brushing it off is like, nope, it's gonna become something bigger and worse, and then it's gonna be too fucking late to handle it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's three things that I realized that I have to have in check: mind, body, and spirit. If you got that mind, body, and spirit, because you can't have one, you can't have
honestly,
the other. You got to have all three to truly be effective, to truly walk this earth.
Right. And body is honestly the easy one.
Not really though, Matty, because he's making a good point.
But I mean, comparatively, it's harder to get your other ones aligned because most people don't agree.
Right.
Disagree.
She's like, no,
because some people avoid.
She's like, I got my spirituality in check.
Well, what I mean by that is everything that we're going through and experience, it's coming back to a remembrance. It's not like we have to learn this thing about spirit and soul. We already know that. We are infinite souls that have been here and do all the things. Like, we know what's up. And it's just the physical body that puts us in this shell that says, I'm separate from you, and you're you, and I'm me, and we're separate. But that's, like, in my perspective, in my belief, that's not the truth. Our soul is connected to all things. And so it's really the body that we have to work with in this like video game, basically, that we're all playing in to like, okay, how can I operate? How can I take care of this vessel? It's the 3D that takes a little bit longer, you know, and we have to take care of it. We have to like say, okay, am I holding on to these things or whatever? So that's what I believe. But you know, it's different for everybody. But it's it's this it's coming back to this remembrance.
Yours sounds more intelligent and thought out.
Because honestly, think about this: how secure. My mother is a perfect example. My mother did not want to accept that she had diabetes. Then when she accepted it, she was much more comfortable and confident, and she was able to do what she needed to do. And now,
make the change.
And now it's almost like she doesn't even have it. And then my mom had a knee injury, and one knee requires knee replacement, and she kept compensating so much, then the other one cried. Then my mom was avoiding it. And then when she finally did it, all because it came mind over matter first.
Mindset.
Yeah, when she finally did it, it was like nothing to it.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays since
So if
medicine
you learn
is so
nothing
different.
else today, we've talked about take care of your problems now so they don't become bigger problems.
That's
So
it.
they
Take
manifest
care of it.
in other
Because that's
things.
what we do. Because, I mean, like, you know, and that's why I applaud Zach for where he went with it, because that was something that he said, I went back to 5 years old. That's a lot of time. I mean, so he's working on that now. And like you gave him props for being a young man to do that. That's huge. You
And
know?
what's crazy about that is I still feel like I waited a long time to even address it.
You
Well,
know-
I kind of did. Since I was
Everybody-
21, 8 years, that's a third of my life.
Yeah, I had
But you waited until it was time.
Right.
Yeah.
You
gotta give
no,
yourself
totally.
credit
No, I'm not
because-
taking. I definitely am not taking away from that. But
Yeah.
just in a sense of you guys saying, "Oh, you're so young that you addressed it at such a
Yeah.
young age," I feel like I have, I've faced this for so long, and I'm
Yeah.
like, finally,
Yep.
Right.
I had
Finally.
I got a few OGs in the game. They're real to. They're like probably late 70s.
Yeah.
And these guys are truly like my spiritual fathers. These are what I call really men of God.
These are your prophets. in a
Not
way.
not some fundamentalist
Right.
type of. Their journey brought them hand in hand with God to that point that, and so they like when I attracted them, they said to me, "I wish I was your age." When I
Yeah.
figured it out,
Yeah.
and
I've definitely gotten that
felt
too.
good.
I've
That
been
felt good.
to some support groups and stuff, and people have been like, "Man, I wish I was your age when I started tackling this thing."
Yeah,
He's like, "They're like, you got your whole life ahead of you,"
Right.
and that's super reassuring and awesome to hear
Yeah, it
from someone.
was. It
That's
felt
another one of
good.
those, prophets. You go to a meeting and someone that hasn't gambled in 25 years, but they've gone to a meeting every single week. They don't understand that they're doing a lot for you as a teacher silently. Because they went through what you went through, but they're teaching you now.
Right. And the best thing they could ever do for you is look at you
Yeah,
and go, I bet you won't.
I bet.
Bet.
Right. Because then checkmate, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You gotta
You
get
just
over it now.
relapse.
Because you're not
just
gonna lose.
relapse.
You're not gonna
You just
lose.
relapse. You just relapse.
That's too funny. No, but that lot, like what you said, there's so much energy has to do with so much stuff in the world.
everything.
Man.
It's everything.
And we don't understand
It
that. We
is.
put all of our energy into all these distractions and social media and shit that doesn't
Yeah.
even matter at the end of the day.
Because what do you
all
think
an
energy
illusion.
goes? Where does energy go?
It doesn't go.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you.
it transmutes
It does
and
not
transforms
go.
into
It's-
different things.
Right.
Yes.
Because
but it
then,
doesn't
we
go.
get distracted with all this stuff, and then the energy that we do put out into the world is aggression. It's
Yeah.
irritability.
I'll give you a
It's
perfect example.
it's so much stuff when it could be
Enlighten
something way
us, Carl.
beautiful.
Food is energy.
Oh hell
If
yeah.
you do it right.
And food, and think
If you
about,
do it right.
Yeah, if you do it, but it's still energy. And think about when obesity is your stored energy.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, what are you going to do with that? Go for a walk
What is. And it's
and put that
It's just like
energy
when
out
you,
there.
Yeah,
Eat
you
something
fill
crappy.
your tank up
Yeah.
with gas and then it goes out
Exactly.
the exhaust.
Yeah.
And then,
Man, I tell you, that's why
Exactly.
it's so important, man. Pick your person wisely, man. If
Right.
you're out there dating, pick your person wisely.
Yeah.
Because like get that person that like kind of keeps you in check on that. Make sure that you
Right.
get out, because it's so easy to get involved with your own thing. And man, we're all trying. We all have goals, and you start doing something, and all of a sudden you realize how fixated you are on it, and you haven't taken care of yourself, man.
Right.
But a good supportive partner, man, get yourself a partner.
Well, yeah, I think it's
who is able to kind of put you in check and go like, when's the last time your ass went out on a run?
That's
Right.
Or just
When's the
even-
last time you
well, not only
flexed your
that, like
mind?
somebody that, because a lot of people like we work out all the time, and so if you get with somebody and they don't want to work out, that's like okay, but I think it's important you're with somebody that even if it's not important to them, it's important to them because it's important to you. That they're supportive in that aspect to where I know how much you love to work out, so we need to make sure we make time for you
Yeah.
to work out every single day, even
Yeah.
if they don't
And
want
if
to
you
work out
don't,
with
and
you.
if you don't want to work out, like, girl, I'll lift you. And
Yeah,
then
there we
you'll
go.
be my
Yeah,
weight. You can be supportive of my workout.
This mother.
I didn't say she was
This
large. I just said I will,
This
matter of fact, it works better if you're not so
This
large.
mother.
Yeah. No, but I think it's important to have, because that's another energy giving,
Like, girl, you like to run out to Dutch Bros and give me
Yeah.
a coffee. I support you. I support you, girl, in your goals.
But I mean, with all this
It's a freeze. It's
all
a kicker
the-
freeze. Don't forget.
healing tools and stuff that you use, I think is amazing. And one thing I'll say about you is that you are completely real. You don't just do this as like this is what I do. Like this is how you are 24/7. And I've always respected that about you since the moment I met you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
So again, to recap that, so how can people find everything that you're affiliated with?
Yeah.
So first of all, if they want to go check out breathwork,
Yeah. So if you're here in Medford, Oregon, then come and see me at the Breathwork Room.
Boom.
You can get a hold of me through the website or through through Instagram. You can text me, whatever it is.
Instagram.
Yeah, let's put the Instagram on there.
Bang,
And,
there it is, right
there
there.
it is.
It's
I
gonna
see
put
it.
Oh, it's right there.
I see it.
Oh, it's flying by now.
you know what also flies over? The more you know.
Yeah, exactly.
you know.
So they can learn, you guys can learn about
Yeah.
that. And it starts with, that's the Breathwork Room is really like a gateway into all the other things. Because even though we started this episode about talking about the really heavy stuff of plant medicine and
Exactly.
all of that, I had that experience so that I could be in this space to hold room and hold space for other people to start their spiritual journey, to be on the royal vibe journey so they can come to that place to see the royal essence that is them, that is all of us. And so, breath work is one way, connecting with herbs is another way, using sound therapy is something. There's so many tools. It's like our ancestors are like, yo, what the fuck, you guys, because you
gave you so much.
You have
Yeah.
it all.
Forgot it.
Forgot
all
you
of
have
it.
everything. You have all the tools, and so breathwork is a beautiful place to start if you're interested and you want to journey within yourself and just journey within and find out more about you and access deeper parts of yourself. And then from there, the plant medicine and all the retreats comes later to where you're in that place of being ready for that if you need it, and so that's an option. The different medicines just depends on where you are and what you're looking for. And I facilitate space with a sister of mine and we hold space for women, and I do a lot of womb work. So through what I experienced and what got me on this path was, experiencing that loss. And so connecting really into the womb space for women it's
really important. Sometimes you got to clean your womb.
Yeah. I mean, our womb is the portal between worlds, it's and to claim that as sovereign in these days is really important, and so I do womb massage. I just completed my,
fucking Zach does some womb massage from what I hear too.
Couldn't help myself, buddy.
Yeah.
What are we, womb mates or something?
Womb mate.
But it's a beautiful thing, for women, we hold a lot of our energy and our emotions in our womb space. And so that's something that I do. Yoni steams, herbal baths, really good food. I'm a really good cook. And so I cook down on some really good food. And so
What time is dinner?
I'll
What
feed
time is
your
dinner?
mind,
Yeah,
I'll feed your body, and I'll feed your stomach.
And your ass will swallow.
Oh, baby.
Wait, what?
yeah. So that's what the retreats are about, is just really,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah,
baby.
you don't know.
There it is. That's the problem with this. We often talk about really useful information, and then Carl and Zach go off on a
Yeah.
tangent.
I'm
And
not
I'm
going
with the
with
guest,
ideas.
like, no, tell me about.
I'm like, what am I going to be for Halloween? Womb Raider. I guess I'll be Womb Raider.
And I wanted to make sure people also know if you're interested in herbs, check out the company I work for.
Yes.
I've never plugged them yet, but
Plug
they're
it.
amazing. Sun God Medicinals. They're also kind of a partner company, and they're affiliated with Breeze Botanicals.
Ooh, that's where I got a lot of these herbs from.
That's what I was going to say. If you want access to local herbs, you can get local organic herbs that are done the right way out there. But the cool thing is you can get them already prepared for you. So if you want to make
so
tinctures
nice.
or if you want to make your own mixes, they can help you out. But if you want to check out more about herbs, you can go to sungodmedicinals.com.
Really cool. I'm really interested in that.
And if you
I'm
click
stoked
on
that
the education tab, it has a glossary of all the herbs, and it talks
sick.
a lot about like what the herb is and also how it grows here, when to harvest it, and a lot of informative things like that. So you can check that out there. They have all kinds of herbal products
That's awesome.
and things.
I'm going to check it out.
But I'm really interested in helping people discover it, because for me it started out with like sleepy time tea. Same with Carl. I'm being an insomniac, and I think it comes.
Yeah,
with being
mine
a
was like
comic.
tea, I think, too.
And I tried all kinds of other stuff, and then I finally got to this place with herbs, and it was like, oh, this is working for me, and I don't have to go to Walmart to get it.
Yeah. I came across it. I came across sage because my dad is Native American. I didn't know him, but my mother always encouraged me to embrace that side of. So my buddy introduced me to a lot of herbal medicines, and sage became one, and tea became one, because that's part of me making my transition from from who I thought I was to who I really am. You know what I mean? Well, so sleepy time tea was all that because I used to experience because at the end of the day, you know what this is all about that we are all talking about is healing that
and
leads to growth. Yes, yes, my man. See?
Healing and development.
Yep. And that's
titled that episode this, Levi, healing and development.
No,
because
it's like the opposite of arrested development.
Arrested development.
and there's nobody named Levi, really.
Yeah, I've never heard of anybody named
Who in the
Levi.
fuck is you talking about?
Yeah.
We don't have a
That's
Levi.
weird.
You that joker, Levi. We love you.
We call him 501s.
Love Levi.
501.
501.
Camel toe.
Because he makes everyone's ass look great.
I call him shrink to fit.
I call him camel toe because that's what they.
Shrink to fit Levi.
No, but on the real, because pain stunts your growth.
Yeah.
When you carry on pain, when you carrying trauma, it stunts your growth.
It keeps you locked in that
you,
place of trauma and pain.
Yeah, and it keeps you not saying you does that, but it can keep you at that 5-year-old.
Yep,
Yeah.
It can keep you. So
No,
when we see a lot of addicts who are using, we notice
Yeah.
the maturity level is stunted.
Yep.
It's really not about the drug.
They're stuck in that time when
It's
they're
about the
experiencing
mind.
trauma. And that I've talked to you
mind.
about that with
Yes.
my mom. My mom is literally
Yes, you
she's
talked
been
to me about
evaluated
that.
and she's like an 8-year-old trapped in a 55-year-old woman's
Yeah,
body.
and that's what it is. It's not the drug.
And you can see it too. She'll be at a birthday party and be like, "No one got me a present," and that's a 55-year-old woman saying that at a kid's birthday party.
because that 8-year-old
And I'm
feels
like,
that way.
Exactly.
It's not your birthday, but at the time you don't know. You know, I'm like, it's not your birthday, you dumb
Go,
bitch.
shorty. It's not your birthday.
What?
Shut the fuck up.
But then it's like
Mama's not your
oh
birthday.
shit, she must have been through some shit.
Yeah, and that's one thing I've always is like my girlfriend talks about this is you do not know
Someone's story.
because there's some people I wouldn't mind smacking the shit out of.
Right.
And it probably justifiable hair smack. It's probably justifiable. I'll smack the shit out of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Christopher Rock.
I'll smack the shit
You
out
gotta
of
do the hands. Ladies
But-
and gentlemen.
But she lets me know is you don't know what that person is going through for them
Right.
to be such a dick.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that are they truly a dick or is that truly that facade, that protection, that defense? You know what I mean?
You only see the book cover. You never read someone's book.
Hell no. You didn't even open up you didn't even see the
Introduction.
forward.
Yeah, the forward.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the whole theme of this episode
Healing
is
and development.
healing and development. Get your ass in check.
Yeah,
And
heal
the
your
cool thing
ass
about-
so we can ascend like out of this
Yeah.
bullshit that
Yeah.
we're living in.
One thing
okay?
I love about
Yeah.
this world today that we live in is that this stuff has become so much more accepted than it was before. Like you said, you
Yeah.
know, even in your guys' generation, if you guys talked about this shit, people would look at you and be like, "You're not a man. You're a little bitch." You know?
Well, even
Well, I'm
that,
still
don't
a
talk
little bit
about
of
that because that's not what you do in the church.
Right, like
the
another thing
religion.
for men to talk about feelings or anything they're going through that wasn't a masculine thing, so it wasn't normal, it wasn't okay to do. But now in the generation we live in now, it's so much more accepted, and things like this, focusing on your spirit, focusing on your energy, and finding that inner peace and healing, and these traumas that everybody went through trauma. Everybody's gone through something
Everybody
that
went through-
is a traumatic event in their life that they are affected by it, whether they know it or not.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, people die not realizing it. And they never, like, I'm confident to say that I don't think my mom will ever come to a place to realize that she went through these traumas and face them and try to get over them. But that happens so often, and it's sad. But I mean, with this stuff that you're doing and spreading the word, and you know, being able to show your experiences and stuff that you've gone through and how you've healed, like the prophecy thing we've talked about today, is a beautiful thing. And that's what we need in the world, really.
Yeah,
And also we need more people to do what you did for us. You show vulnerability.
Yeah,
You went
100%.
somewhere and you took us with you. You know what I mean? Because you brought me to a place where I remember I had an out of body experience with my probably was 5.
Oh,
I
dang.
had that experience, and it was so beautiful. It's one of the times I think when God put me in a place where I was quiet and sleep, so He can do His work. You know what I mean?
exactly.
So it's one of the things I was knocked out, but
chills.
all I know is I came up and somebody had my hand, kept walking with me. And to me, it was Christ. And He walked me up to my little me. And I was just in the ground doing whatever I was doing. And He looked up at me. You know what I mean? I couldn't see who was with me.
Right.
But then I saw the little kid. I'm looking at me.
Jeez.
And I woke up just like, you know how some dreams you cannot remember,
right.
Because you went,
but you remember this one so vividly.
It wasn't even a dream.
It wasn't.
It was a spiritual journey.
Yeah.
That he took me down. It was just a beautiful, just watching me playing around, and I actually looked up at the older me, just like, and went about my.
And honestly,
business.
that's what the hypnotherapy feels like. Because you're there and you're like, oh, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I put myself to bed, telling myself it was gonna be okay.
Yes, because I love what you said. I put myself to bed,
and so I was able to go back and feel what that felt like, and now I'm like, oh, dude, I'm golden.
Right.
I'm not saying I'm good forever, but I'm way better off than I was
it's good
before.
you know what that feels like, because me and Carl are sick of putting you to bed. It's about time you learn how to do that.
I'm running out of bedtime
I'm gonna put you to bed. bed.
J. Cole.
J. Holiday.
J.
Holiday.
No, J.
Good
Cole,
Lord.
like the Choco Cole. That's what it is.
J. Cole.
They go.
Burr.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for checking
thank
us
you.
out, tuning
This
in.
was
And
so
thank you,
great.
Thank
thank
you,
everybody on this show
This was
too,
so
because
great.
like Carl said about the vulnerability, I just want to let you know one thing: vulnerability is a beautiful thing. So
It is a beautiful thing.
if you feel comfortable with somebody, and that's another thing it is too, it's a sign of trust. I trust everybody in this room.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I feel comfortable with being vulnerable. So thank you to you guys and everybody listening.
Yeah.
If you got something on your chest, you got somebody that you can talk to about it, do it.
Yeah.
Let it
And
go.
if you want to send
Do
us
it.
a message, you want to talk to us about anything, we chatted up, you have questions for our guests, you can always reach us at
Please.
heckleproof@gmail.com.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Instagram, message us on Instagram, message us on Facebook. We will check all that stuff.
Grinder.
We may every time, Carl. Carl's the only one on Grinder.
What? Isn't that where we can get meat?
No.
I
Yes,
thought
it is.
I thought it was a club.
Levi,
it was a
yes,
club
it
for the
is.
waiters at
Get you
Olive
some
Just go to
Garden.
Cherry Street Meats.
Go to
What the
Grinders
fuck?
and get you some burgers.
Go to the rest
Get you
stop
some
for what you're
burgers.
looking for. We are Heckleproof. We appreciate you
We're Heckleproof.
guys.
Thank you for
Thank you,
being on the
guys.
show, Amanda. And
Thank
we
you.
will catch
Appreciate
y'all
it.
later.
Peace.
Peace.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow us wherever fine podcasts are streaming.